All right, this is Dave Schrader live at the Belvoir Winery. And who have I got talking to me now?
This is Michael Judd.
Michael Judd. All right, Michael. Now, you started to tell me a story a little bit ago that's really kind of creepy as hell. Do you mind sharing that with our audience?
No, I sure don't.
All right, what have you got?
This would have been summer of 1991. A friend of mine and I, we were trying to escape his girlfriend. She was high maintenance, and we had 3 or 4 places we would go to hide from her. So we went to a park, which is a park in the town I grew up in, which is Florissant, Missouri. It backs up to 100 acres of a wildlife area. And then on the other side of that is a highway and just basically North St. Louis metropolis type area, or county area. He and I go up there and we're hanging out and talking to each other, and he's complaining about his girlfriend, and all of a sudden we see his girlfriend drive into the parking area. So we hit the deck like brave grown people would, and we're hiding, and she pulls in and she looks for us, but she's not going to get out of the car, and she pulls away. Well, when we get back up, we notice that there's now a girl in this playground area with us. And we both look at her and we look at each other and we're like, well, that's weird. She wasn't there before. And so we walk over to another section of the playground and she goes to where we just were. We're like, okay, so she knows we're here, because we were thinking, well, we were hiding from his girlfriend. She didn't know we were there. So we made ourselves known, and she goes to the thing we had just left. And that
Now,
happened.
how old does this girl look to you at this time?
At this time, she does. It's hard to tell because it's 11 o'clock at night. So
Okay.
it is. We just know it's female.
Right.
So then we watch her for a little bit, and we're like, this chick is weird. So she wanders over and sits down on the swing set, which had 3 swings, and she takes the middle one. We're like, all right, let's go check this out. So we walk over, and she's sitting there, and she's leaning forward, and she's hanging on the chains with her head down, and she had long hair, so it was covering her face.
Mm-hmm.
And so, not quite as creepy as the Ring, but the same concept. You can't see her face. And so he walks over and sits on he would have been on her right side, I was on her left. And my friend has no filters. He's one of those awesome people that just says whatever pops into his brain.
Sure.
And first we were just like, what the hell are you doing here? And she said, oh, I was just out for a walk, and this is where I wound up. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So
Right. I
we
mean, it's
started asking
11
her-
o'clock at night in
Yeah.
a heavily wooded area with this young woman by herself.
Well, the park's not heavily wooded. It's
Okay.
an open park, but it backs up to the woods. And
Right.
so we're thinking, what direction did you come from? She goes, well, I came out of the trees. And I'm like, you were wandering around in the woods at 11 o'clock at night. She goes, no, I didn't pass through a bunch of woods. I just came out from there. And I'm going, what? You couldn't have just come out from there. You had to pass through the woods. My friend goes, okay, so where are you from? She's like, well, I'm from Ferguson. I'm like, and you were walking around in Ferguson and you're here now? She's like, yeah. I'm like, Ferguson's 5 miles away from here and you would have had to cross a major highway. She goes, no, I didn't cross a highway. And I'd lean back and look at my friend like, this chick is whacked. And so all of a sudden he's like, so, you got a boyfriend? She's like, yeah. He's pretty cool. He's got a brand new TA. And I'm like going, TA? I haven't heard what people used to call Trans Ams all the time. And I'm like, a brand new TA? Does he think he's Burt Reynolds? She goes, yeah, it's brown, just like his. It's brand new and it's really cool and fast. And I'm looking at my friend going, they don't make brown Trans Ams anymore. And he's like, shakes it off. And so he goes, so you and your boyfriend, you like having sex and stuff? She goes, yeah, we have sex. He's kind of mean when we do it, and sometimes he makes me have sex with him and all his friends. And I lean back and I look at my friend and I'm like, that is just messed up. And so we were trying to get more information out of her. We tried to get her name. She just refused to give us a name. Tried to get his name. She refused to give us his name. And after a little bit, she sits there and, we're asking her more questions about her abusive boyfriend. And from what she described, he was very abusive and it was sexual abuse. Very disturbing stuff. And finally, she's just sitting there and she goes, I gotta go. And she stands up and walks around the swing set right in front of me, and I'm trying to see her face. Never could see it. Never once got a look at her face. She never looked either one of us in the eye. And she walks around the swing set and she goes up to the woods, and there's a chain link fence that somebody had cut so that you could go into the woods. And as soon as she hit that fence, she was gone. And I mean, like she just went into a whole nother world, teleported, poof, gone.
Okay.
And at that moment, I looked over at my friend and I go, she was dead, wasn't she? He goes, I think so. And we sat there for probably another 10 minutes in just pure silence before we got creeped out enough that we're like, it's time to go on back to your house even if your crazy girlfriend's there. And so we left. And I regret to this day not investigating that story. But we had the discussion of, okay, if we call the Ferguson police and start asking about a blonde, young, missing person, are we going to become instant suspects?
Right.
And so we never did follow up or investigate that at all.
But what does your gut tell you about what you experienced?
My gut tells me that that was a dead girl telling us her story, and she's in those woods.
So you think she's buried there in the woods?
That would be a perfect place to bury somebody,
Really?
because the parking lot to the park is easy access to that cut in that chain link fence, and you could drag something in there quickly, dig
So
a hole.
You don't
drop it
think
in.
you don't think she's very deep into the woods then?
No, I don't think you would, what's the point once you get past, a little bit into the woods,
Sure.
dig a hole. So yeah, I would, especially since she came out on that side of the woods.
Okay.
If she was deep in, she might wander the woods, but
Now, did you ever return to that area again?
I went to that area all the time. This was a regular park that we hung out at, but I never did see her again. Never, that was an area I grew up in and played in, and we never came across her again.
And did you ever look up to see if there were any unsolved cases of missing women or missing girls in that area that looked like her?
No, I didn't. That's what I was saying. That's one of my greatest regrets, because I honestly think it came looking for help and we failed it. We failed it miserably. But we were, I was 19, 20 years old in 91. I'd been 20. So, yeah, we
Wow.
failed miserably.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yep, thank you.